In today's video, we're diving into two insane stories. From places so dangerous, you'll seriously wonder what drives people to risk their lives just to go there. Stick till the end, and as always, viewer discretion is advised. On January 31st, 2014, the chilly Tennessee air wrapped around the rough terrain as Marion Smith and Jim Fox headed out for another adventure. These two expert cave explorers planned to check out an uncharted cave, sketching its twists and turns while hunting for hidden paths deep underground. It was something they'd done many times before. After hours of crawling through tight spots and jotting down notes, they climbed out, tired but happy with their progress. Just as they were packing up though, something caught their eye, a tiny, easy-to-miss crack in the rocks. It was an unnamed karst feature. Now what's a karst feature? It's a natural shape in the land made when water slowly eats away at soft rocks like limestone or gypsum. Over thousands or even millions of years, water sneaks into cracks, carving out caves, sinkholes, and even secret rivers underground. But while they're cool to explore, they can also be risky, with hidden drops, shaky rocks, and sudden cave-ins. Most people would have walked right past it, but not Smith and Fox. Since the ground had been shifting forever, reshaping tunnels way below, the only way to know what was inside was to go in. Curiosity won. Fox widened the hole just enough for Smith to slip through. At 72 years old, he'd spent his life exploring places like this, wiggling into tight spots and letting his gut lead him through the darkness. Smith eased himself into the hole, his fingers gripping the slick rock as he went down. The walls pressed in so tight it felt like the earth itself was squeezing him. Inside, the space was cramped, just a hollow pocket with no hidden tunnels or secret chambers. His headlamp flickered over solid rock on all sides. Dead end. A letdown, sure, but not unusual in caving. Not every opening leads to adventure. He shifted his weight, ready to push back up, but wait, something was wrong. The exit was right there, just above him, but his body wouldn't move the way it needed to. The walls pinned his shoulders at a weird angle, his ribs jammed against stone. The harder he tried to wiggle free, the more he slipped deeper. A chill shot through him. But before panic could fully set in, things got worse. Fox saw him struggling from above and sprang into action, lowering a rope and a foot ascender to help. Smith reached for it, straining to get a grip, when his headlamp flickered over something that made his stomach drop. A massive slab of sandstone loomed overhead, its jagged cracks spiderwebbing across the surface. It wasn't just loose, it was teetering, held in place by nothing but gravity and luck. One wrong move, one shift of the rock, and it would all come crashing down. Smith knew he was in trouble the second he saw that boulder. If it shifted, he'd be trapped, or worse, flattened. Before he could even react, a deep, grinding crack echoed through the cave. Then, boom. The rock dropped like a hammer. Already wedged tight, he now had hundreds of pounds of stone crushing his legs and hips. Pain ripped through him, white hot and suffocating. His body was bent at a weird angle, making every second torture. His ribs screamed. His legs were pinned, completely useless. He gasped for air, but the weight squeezed his lungs like a vice. Each heartbeat throbbed in his ears. Fox didn't waste a second. He scrambled down, throwing his weight against the boulder, pushing, straining. But it didn't move an inch, solid, immovable. Smith's vision blurred as the pain swallowed him whole. Frantic, Fox grabbed a shovel and started digging like a madman. But every scoop made the ground shift. Loose rocks tumbled, threatening a full collapse. After minutes of sweating, swearing, and sheer terror, the awful truth hit them. They were out of options. They needed a miracle. Fox's hands trembled as he grabbed the radio. His voice cracked as he called for help. Smith is trapped. Not lost, not injured, trapped. That one word meant this wasn't a quick fix. It meant bring everyone. The wait was agony. Smith's body burned from the crushing weight, muscles locking in rebellion. The cave's chill crept into his bones, the same caves he'd loved for decades now, holding him in a death grip. Time stretched like rubber. Then, at last, boots pounded the earth above. Rescuers swarmed the site, their headlamps cutting through the gloom. But their faces said it all. This is bad. The boulder was a monster. No way to lift it, no room for machinery. So they pivoted. Dig a second tunnel beside him. Inch by inch, they burrowed through dirt and rock, working under Smith to undermine the slab pinning him. Every shovel scrape was a gamble, too much force, and the whole thing could cave in. Then came the game changer. Clinton Elmore, a rescuer with years of rock experience, studied the sandstone slab. "This type won't explode if we're smart," he said. Instead of brute force, they'd outthink it. A rotary hammer whirred to life, its drill biting into the boulder. Each vibration sent fresh agony through Smith's pinned body. But then, a creak. The rock shifted, just a hair's width, but enough. Elmore wedged his hands underneath, veins bulging as he heaved. The slab groaned upward. Smith didn't wait. Gritting his teeth against the white-hot pain, he dragged himself forward, every inch feeling like a mile. After 6 hours of crushing pressure, he slithered free. Cold air hit his face as he surfaced. Rescuers erupted in cheers, the tension snapping like a rope. Weak, shaking, his legs still numb, but alive. A medevac helicopter thudded in the distance. At the hospital, doctors braced for broken bones, internal bleeding, but found only bruises and exhaustion. Smith walked out that same night. Later, he'd shrug it off. Odds caught up with me, but everyone knew the truth. This was a miracle stitched together by skill, stubbornness, and sheer luck. High in Mexico's Oaxaca mountains, at 2,700 meters above sea level, the gaping mouth of Cueva Cheve beckons only the bravest explorers. This isn't your average hole in the ground. It's one of Earth's deepest cave systems, a vertical labyrinth that has challenged American caving teams for decades. The air at Cheve's entrance is thinner than Denver's, making every physical effort twice as exhausting. In February 1991, 14 elite cavers assembled at base camp. Their sights set on an audacious goal, to dive past the cave's known limits. But first came the grueling prep work, carefully rigging 35 vertical drops between the surface and Camp 2, a temporary home 850 meters down. That's deeper than 2 Empire State Buildings stacked underground. This wasn't simple rappelling. To protect their ropes from sharp limestone walls, they used a rebelay system. Imagine climbing down a series of suspended rope segments, having to stop every few meters to switch your gear. One wrong move mid-transfer, and you're falling into darkness. On February 25th, the first team of 6 began their descent. 7 to 10 hours of squeezing through cracks, rappelling into voids, and navigating waterfalls, all while hauling gear. Over subsequent days, teams played underground relay, shuttling supplies deeper into Cheve's mysterious depths. Each trip was a ballet of skill and endurance, where concentration meant the difference between discovery and disaster. On March 1st, the team returned. Peter Bostad, Peter Haberland, and 2 others. James Brown, still nursing a hurt shoulder, and Chris Jorger, who'd been feeling under the weather. They entered in shifts an hour apart to avoid traffic jams in the narrow tunnels. This staggered entry technique is called leapfrogging, just like the playground game. Jorger and Haberland made good progress. By mid-afternoon, they hit Sacknoom's Well, a series of slippery vertical drops. Here, Jorger fumbled his rappel rack, the crucial device that controls your descent speed, and had to borrow Haberland's to recover it. At the time, it seemed like just a small mistake. By evening, they'd left the wet sections behind, entering dry chambers near Camp 2. At flag junctions, the identical-looking rock walls confused them briefly before they found their way. The last challenge? East Gorge, a tight canyon with a tricky 2-part drop. Haberland explained. First, a 10-meter slide down loose rocks, Then, a heart-stopping 23-meter freefall. The Rebele, a mid-rope anchor point, was vital here. Without it, the rope would rub against sharp rocks and quickly fray. One weak spot could mean disaster. Haberland went first, carefully working through the tricky rope setup. The safety anchor was awkwardly placed, way too low, so he had to use his foot ascender to get enough slack to unhook safely. Once down, he yelled up, "All clear." Then, Jorger's warning echoed down. Haberland froze, waiting to hear "off rope." What came instead made his stomach drop. A whooshing sound, then a bone-chilling thud. Silence. Jorger. Jorger. No answer. Hands shaking, Haberland climbed over his protective boulder and looked down. There was Jorger, completely still in a shallow puddle. His right leg bent all wrong, foot twisted sideways, helmet knocked back but still on his head, arms stretched out like he'd tried to catch himself. Heavy backpack pinning him face down. The water wasn't even deep, maybe 3 inches, but it was enough to drown in if you couldn't move. Haberland's hands shook as he rushed forward. Gently, he turned Jorger's head to keep his face above the shallow water. Knowing spinal injuries could be deadly, he didn't dare move him more. The cave's silence was deafening. No breathing, no movement. No time to check for a pulse. Pure instinct took over. Run. Get help. Now. Whistle shrieking, he flew through passages that had taken hours to navigate, reaching Camp 2 in just 15 minutes. Boston and Brown jumped up at the alarm. They didn't need words to understand. Grabbing medical supplies and warm gear, they raced back. Jorger hadn't moved. A thin line of blood ran from his nose against ghostly pale skin. Boston's fingers searched for a pulse. Nothing. The cave's chill bit deeper as they lifted Jorger from the water, wrapping him in a sleeping bag on a rocky shelf. They tried CPR, but each artificial breath just made wet, hollow sounds. After 20 minutes, his face began swelling unnaturally. A flashlight check showed no pupil response. The terrible truth was undeniable. Their friend was gone. The team sat for hours in their headlamp circles. The cave's playful mystery now feeling cold and cruel. After painful discussions, they made the call to bury Jorger right there in Cheve's depths. In a quiet chamber above the fatal drop, his father and friends traveled from the States to say goodbye underground. But grief doesn't follow neat plans. Months passed. The family changed their minds. A special recovery team went back nearly a year later, finally bringing Jorger home. The accident investigation revealed haunting details. Jorger's rappel rack still dangled 2 meters below the Rebele anchor. His safety carabiner hung open like a broken promise. The cave kept its secrets, but the equipment told its own story. Haberland's reconstruction revealed a terrifying flaw. An unweighted rappel rack could twist just right to pop open the carabiner's gate. The moment Jorger leaned into it, instant freefall. No warning, no time to scream. Modern cavers now use double-lock carabiners after this accident. 2 separate mechanisms to prevent accidental openings. The tragedy sparked urgent safety reforms. Rappel devices must now use unopenable quick links or dual carabiners. Packs should hang below climbers, not weigh down their backs. The Rebele setup was clearly flawed. Too difficult to navigate safely. But here's the hard truth. Disasters never happen for just one reason. It's always a domino effect. A badly placed anchor here, a distracted moment there, an unlocked carabiner. In Cheve's depths, all these small mistakes added up to the unthinkable. Yet cavers still return to Cheve, pulled by its siren call of undiscovered passages. It remains a place of breathtaking wonder and deadly consequence. Where one wrong move can change everything, the cave doesn't forgive, it doesn't forget, and it's always waiting.